Hello everybody, I hope you're doing good today. This video will contain copyrighted bullshit being used underneath the Fair Use Act for educational purposes. You know, I learned long ago when I first started making videos, almost a year ago now, that you don't want to rush to judgment and rush to get the video out, and being first is always not the best thing. You know, and I had several people emailing me and leaving comments about this Flat Earth documentary. And then I look at it and it's named Convex Earth. First off, people, look up the word convex, okay? It's not flat. And then I seen this image of their map of the world. It's a rock hurling through space, they say. You know, once it got to this point, I knew this was all total bullshit. And it's not only them points that made me think it was total bullshit, because from the get-go, they said they've been doing this research for 7 years. But yet there's no time progressed video. In other words, in 7 years, I've aged quite a bit. But there's no aging of these people throughout this documentary. It's very clear that all their experiments were just staged for the camera to produce this documentary. They weren't done 7 years ago, a year ago, or whatever. This documentary was made in the last year. And all these experiments they claim they did were just staged for the camera. And then they give you their conclusions without giving you no scientific data. None whatsoever. This is just like FE Corps, if you ask me. Because they're also a .org. This people that did this video here, they're a .org. So they're limited on what they can say if they want to remain a .org, even in Brazil. Okay? So let's listen to this nonsense. And right here, the bullshit meters went up. There's no way I could support it at this point. And how Bob and Jaron and all them others can support it is beyond me. It's pure stupidity. You know, Bob and Jaron also think the Red Bull space jump and Alan Eustace space jump was real. It's all freaking Masonic bullshit to reinforce the ball Earth, the image of the ball Earth, because that's what they did on both of them videos. They showed you the image of ball Earth. It's just nothing more than Masonic fuckery done in a Disney Studios. Nobody's went up on the, up 100,000 feet dangling off a freaking balloon. No one. Anybody falls for that shit, you're dumb. And that's Bob and Jaron. And they fell for this shit, even after seeing this stuff. And these people want to place themselves on a freaking pedestal like they're smart. You ask me, they're the dumbest in flat Earth. And this is proof of it. So let's listen to this nonsense here. And the satellites.
And how do satellites work in the convex Earth?
The magnetic field of our planet is primarily responsible for keeping the satellites in orbit. Briefly, there are two types of satellites, the geostationary and the orbitals. The geostationary ones are apparently fixed in a position over the surface of the planet. I say apparently because its orbit has to be corrected periodically. Orbital satellites are in orbit over the surface of the planet.
But there you have it. Once I got to this point, I'm like, man, they're pushing satellites. Why are they pushing satellites as real? This really threw up the red flag for me. And like I said, from this point on, I could never support this. And even before that, like I said, it was all very fishy. They weren't giving you no scientific data. They were staging their experiments for the camera. They weren't actually doing them. They weren't actually showing you film from 3 years ago, you know. It was all done recently for the cameras. And like I say, nothing good is going to come out of a made-for-TV documentary. I don't care if it's called Convex Earth or if it's called Behind the Curb and curve and Mark and Patricia's so-called flat Earth documentary coming out. Nothing good's going to come out of a documentary. The only thing that's going to come out of this community for flat Earth, come out of the flat Earth community, is street activism. That's the only good that's going to come out of the flat Earth. It ain't going to come from clowns like Mark, Patricia, Bob, Jaron, and all them other suckers, because they're not interested in street activism. They're interested in using videos like this and SpaceX and NASA videos for live streams to make money. That's all they're interested in. Bob made over at least $300 Sunday doing supporting this bullshit. And then the week before that, he says, oh, I don't make a penny on flat Earth. You know how many people that say I don't make a penny on flat Earth that have their freaking live stream set up for super chat donations? I hear that from many channels. But that's all they do, is use other people's material for their live streams to make money. You know, Bob, Jaron, and all them, Mark and Patricia, they all criticize me because I use other people's work to make my videos. Well, they do the same damn thing. The same thing. What a bunch of hypocrites you all are. You're dumb. Anybody that fell for this, they're dumb. And shouldn't be putting themselves on a freaking pedestal. So yeah, I couldn't figure out why they were pushing satellites, but I'll show you here in a minute. So let's keep on going. And the photos from space that show the ball Earth. Let's watch this nonsense here.
And why do Earth photos taken from space show a curvature?
We launched several atmospheric probes, and we noticed that the images recorded in the upper layers of the atmosphere begin to show a certain curve after a certain height. This occurs in the high layers of the atmosphere, above the stratosphere, that is. In an airplane window, you would not notice this curvature. We observed that this effect does not occur due to the supposed curvature of the planet, but due to two factors. The first, due to the large flat convex lens of our atmosphere, and the second, according to the theory of curvature of light proposed by Albert Einstein, experimentally proven in 1919.
According to Albert Einstein,
so there you go. You know, how did they come up? You know, this is a NASA photo here. We know how that curved Earth comes up. We know how we get this image right here. Let me get back to that. You get this image with a fisheye lens. You know? This is NASA bullshit right here. This is propaganda. We know from Dwayne Kellum's several balloon launches that it's flat up there. When you get up there, it's flat. So we know this is bullshit. But yet you have Bob and Jaron can't see through this shit. You know, they got to get... After Bob and Jaron supported this... They got a bunch of emails calling them fucking stupid, so they quickly pulled down the video supporting this bullshit and said, oh, we were wrong. Fuck, Bob made $300 off of that. At least 300. And the week before that, he says he doesn't make money. Like I said, I don't know how many channels there are, but they all claim they don't make a penny off of Flat Earth, but they have their live stream set up for Super Chat money. So let's keep on going here, because there's one more, this thing, and it's laughable. You know, the shape of their Earth, it's not even convex. It's flat.
surveys, strong evidence emerged of the existence of a new continent.
They show you no evidence. They say they have imagery and all this other shit. Listen to this bullshit.
And what about the new continent that is far beyond our borders? We call it the Greater North. For those who are here in South America, heading north. So we call it the Greater North. With the help of Navy and Air Force officers.
With the help of government. Their .org did this research. Now pay attention. At this point, I knew there was some kind of motive behind all this, and it wasn't to prove flat Earth or disprove ball Earth. There was another motive behind all this, and all this, you know, talk about satellites. What does that have to do with the shape of the Earth? Why did they bring satellites into this documentary? Okay? Well, you know, like I say, the bullshit flags went up right when I seen this, so I typed in Brazil Space Agency into Google search and then clicked on news. And let's see what we get here. The key to cheaper U.S. rocket launches may sit in Brazil's jungle. 3 U.S. space companies are interested in launching from an old rocket complex on Brazil's Atlantic coast. Let's see who's involved in this. Aerospace giants like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, along with small rocket builders Vector, have expressed interest in launching from an old rocket complex in Brazil. So there you go. It's no different in Brazil than it is in the U.S. If you want to be a government-paid scientist in a .org, then you can't go against what government says. Just like these clowns in Brazil couldn't go against what their government says. Because if they did, they would never get funded. So, when it comes right down to it, a lot of people in Flat Earth look very stupid for supporting this. Including Bob and Jaron and everybody else. But like I said, they love this when this comes out. Bob and Jaron love when this kind of stuff comes out because they can use it for a 3-hour live stream to make money on. In fact, Jaron just did a video the other day again of the SpaceX launch. And the Tesla car and the SpaceX launch. He spent another fucking hour on that bullshit. And he's already spent 20 hours on it. So they love when shit like comes out like this, when SpaceX releases a new video, because it gives them another opportunity to milk it for money. And that's all they do, is they milk this shit for money. As far as Bob and Jaron, I got another video coming out later this week. It's going to be more lies from FE Core and Bob and Jaron and their experiments, you know. And then Bob pulls his video like he's being honest with you and, you know, and admitting he made a mistake. But you know what? They didn't admit that they screwed up on this freaking laser test and it was a failure. Instead, they call it a success. So this idea that Bob and Jaron is being honest and upfront and, you know, and calling out their wrongs and so on and so forth is total bullshit. They just got a lot of hate, and they knew this was going to hurt their image. That's why they pulled this video and pulled their support for this. Because Bob, Jaron, Iru, and everybody called these Flat Earth allies. This group a Flat Earth ally. So there you have it, folks. Nothing more than fuckery. Have a good day, everybody.